You're done.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Josephine Bond. I'm the Vice Chair of the American Bar Association's Law Student Division that's in charge of student bar associations. That means I oversee all 205 ABA-approved law schools' student bar association presidents. More specifically, tonight we're here to talk to Morgan, who is running for the 8th Circuit Governor, and she will answer some questions that you all have and some that I have myself. Right now, I'd just like to give Morgan 2 minutes at the very beginning to introduce herself.
Hey everybody, I'm Morgan. I'm a 1L at the University of South Dakota. I got my bachelor's at Chadron State College in Legal Studies, which is in western Nebraska, and I got my master's at the Bush School of Government at Texas A&M. I have a experience in policy both in the Texas legislature and at the federal level with the National Corn Growers Association and in the House of Representatives as well. So I have a policy background that I'm excited to share with you and hope will be a benefit to this position. Looking towards my next year, because I'm running unopposed, it's kind of difficult to figure out what I should be deciding right now, but I'm really looking forward to getting to know all of you and to get some feedback. We have a big circuit which presents a lot of communicational logistical difficulties, but I'm looking forward to figuring out your preferred way of communication and connecting with you that way. Looking towards my term, I'm looking forward to securing some funding for regional visits to each of the schools. And the funding is still in the works, but I think it's going to be a possibility. If you or your SBA is interested, I would really like to hear back about that. And depending on interest as well, I would like to have a couple of meetings with the SBA presidents and ABA reps just to kind of get together as a group, maybe problem solve, collaborate, kind of figure out the challenges that we have. I would also look forward to working on a re-governance proposal. I've heard a little bit about the struggles last year. I think this is the year to get it done and to work together. And so I look forward to telling you guys about that, getting feedback, and ultimately just getting the job done. As far as other initiatives, I'm still kind of working on the details as I get closer to my term and get some training. So, yeah, with that, you're welcome.
Thanks, Morgan, for your introduction. I wasn't planning on bringing up the topic of governance restructuring tonight, but I feel like you all need a quick update so that there's no confusion. For those of you that are watching, some of you may or may not know that the Law Student Division has been asked by the American Bar Association's Board of Governors to restructure because we are no longer serving law students to the best of our abilities and we're bleeding a lot of money in the process. This past summer at the Assembly, which voting delegates include only SBA presidents and ABA reps, the Law Student Division put forward a plan that narrowly failed. Since then, the Board of Governors of the ABA has put together a working group, which 2 law students, our representative to the Board of Governors, Chris Jennison, and our division's chair, Fabiani Duarte, sit on, along with Judge Ramona C. of the Board of Governors, Eileen Gotts, Jimmy Goodman, and some Alpha Brady and Jack Rives, some other staff members of the ABA. They are doing a proposal plan right now over the next month, gathering ideas. So right now the Law Student Division has no input or insight, at least for the next 6 weeks. Hopefully after that we will have a conversation with the working group as well as requesting input from the SBA presidents and ABA reps. All of that said, I would look forward to messages about this from either the division chair, myself being for the SBA presidents, or Michael Dumas, who's in charge of the ABA reps. So again, sorry for taking some time on that, but I think that we needed to clear some of that up. Morgan, my first question for you is, what has been your experience in the ABA?
I recently, just this year, started law school, so I signed up with our ABA rep, and that's kind of been the extent to my involvement. I've been learning a lot. I've been keeping up with the resolutions that have been being passed, or that were passed at the meeting just like this last week. And that's kind of been my involvement. Besides, I did some legislative work where I worked on a committee that was like the State Affairs Committee, and we worked on a lot of legal issues, and sometimes there were, stakeholders that we worked with. But otherwise, this being my first year of law school, kind of limited at this point.
What are your thoughts on the Law Student Division's recently passed resolution at the mid-year meeting on the Uniform Bar Exam, Resolution 109, for your reference?
I am very excited about that. I think that was a huge step. I know that that was in the works for a while. Really looking forward to the next steps and understanding what the next points of action are. I noticed that my own state hasn't passed the Uniform Bar Exam, and so I was doing some research on that today, and I think it's the only state in the circuit, so got some work to do there. So that's what I think.
Great answer. And South Dakota actually, their chief judge is against the Uniform Bar Exam, so it might be one of the difficult states to get on. What are your thoughts on Interpretation 305-2?
I am not familiar with that.
So Interpretation 305-2 has been within the Law Student Division for at least the last 4 years. It was initiated by my predecessor the first time around, as this is my second term in the vice chair position, Joe Cunningham. 3052 is the pay credit band. So right now law students can only receive pay or credit for an externship or an internship that they do. The last, I guess, to give you guys an update, and then we can move on from this question because I'm not going to ask you to give your thoughts on something that I'm just kind of telling you about now. Okay. The Council on the Section of Legal Education, which I sit on, will meet next month to decide whether or not the pay credit ban should be eliminated. So hopefully we'll have some good news there. Really, really quickly, the reason why this might pass on the third time around is that law student paid externships now have to have a more rigorous oversight process, and so they've moved Standard 305 into Standard 304, in case anybody wants to do their homework about this, and they've eliminated the Interpretation 305-2, which is where the pay credit ban actually is. This was just recently, there was a comment period that ended on January 29th, so hopefully we'll have some good news from that. Moving on, my next question for you is, what visions do you have for the Law Student Division?
I mean, just kind of starting at base one, I think it would be, and I know we've already gone over this and it's kind of out of our hands, but restructuring and kind of getting back on our feet as a group. I think that'd be really great. And moving forward from that, just maintaining, I think maintaining regional representation is very important. Coming from a South Dakota school with a very large circuit, I think that's very important to move to at-large or any other type of representation. Might really cause a difficulty for rural students like myself or people from just like rural areas. But other than that, just maintaining a very professionally empowering organization, and I think that's being done. So.
How can the Law Student Division better serve its law student population?
Just kind of to go back to the regional aspect, just maintaining that connection to all parts of the United States. I come from a pretty small school, and I'm very interested in the ABA, and we have an ABA rep on campus, Brian Griffin, who's very good at keeping us abreast of things, even though we're in the middle kind of nowhere. And it's easy to forget about smaller schools like us. And so I just think that maintaining that connection, maintaining that network, that collaboration is really important.
Are there any ideas that you might have for improving membership benefits?
At this point, I don't. That might be something that I get more feedback on just because I'm a first-year student. I'm kind of still understanding how everything works at this point.
What are your leadership strengths?
I'm very good at collaborating through conflict. So I worked in the legislature. My job was basically to work with a state senator, and everything that we did was collaboration in a conflict zone. And so I feel like I'm very good at conflict in collaboration, and I feel like I have a I feel like I have a unique perspective when it comes to the policy environment. I've worked in a variety of policy environments, including a state legislature, the federal government, a state board of trustees. I was a student trustee at my undergrad in university, and in my master's degree provided me a lot of um, very great skills and knowledge that I could apply to this situation.
Great. And then my last question for you is, how can the law student division have a stronger presence in law schools?
Um, I think that would just come back to the involvement and the collaboration and the maintenance of like a large network. From what I understand about the Eighth Circuit, it's a very large circuit, kind of hard to find ways to connect with each other in new ways, ways that work with everybody, things like that. I'm just imagining. I don't have any experience with it yet, but just maintaining a um, a firm network where people feel like it's accessible, that they can ask questions, that they could get involved if they really would like to, which I think for the most part is being done now. But that's kind of what I'm thinking for now.
I currently see no questions in the queue, so I'll ask one question of my own and then wait to see if any appear, and then if not, we will move into the close. I've served on 2 boards now, and there's been a lot of different dynamics and different leadership styles and several other differences. I guess my big concern for you is, who have you spoken to about this position, and what do you know generally about being a circuit governor?
I've spoken to Brian Griffin, our ABA rep, and from what I understand, my job is to work with the SBA presidents and the ABA representatives to better understand their needs, represent it to the Board of Governors, work with the Board of Governors as a group, and then ultimately work with the ABA. I have a few contacts that I have not yet made contact with just because of the election period. I've been advised to not contact people as of now just because of the election period. But I have worked with one of the Young Lawyers Division guys from South Dakota who has given me names of people to contact about their past experience.
Great. I see no questions in the queue, so I'm going to go ahead and let you have your 1-minute closing opportunity now. Again, it's 1 minute.
Okay. And just in closing, I guess I'm very excited to work with everybody. I'm really excited to see. I'm still catching up on the policy decisions made last week at the meeting to catch up on what has been done and what still needs to be done, including like the UBE and things like that. As far as like lobbying, policy advocacy, I'm really excited to do some of that because that is something that I'm very comfortable doing, including the public service loan forgiveness program and things like that. I'm just ready to take action. I am a quick learner, and I'm ready to start learning when I'm able to start taking some action. And in closing, I'm really excited to hopefully travel, get to know everybody, better understand everybody's schools, because all of our schools are probably very different. There's quite a few schools in the district, or the circuit, but I'm very excited to get started.
Great. Thank you so much, Morgan, for taking the time to chat with the 8th Circuit tonight. I just wanted to let everyone know that is watching that I am available. Again, my name is Josephine Vaughn, josephine.bahn@law.nyls.edu. My information is also on the Law Student Division webpage, where you can find your current 8th Circuit Governor Jordan Glasgow's information as well, and we'd be happy to answer any of your questions. Feel free to reach out. Otherwise, have a great night.